What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 12, Episode 7. So, after dinner, all the women gather into Diana's room and they're having drinks, talking, whatever. And they start talking about their ex husbands. And they talk about how some of them are still really good friends with their ex husbands, one of them being Kyle. She says that her ex husband and Mauricio are still good friends. And she talks about how she had gotten married way too young. I think she was 19 years old when she married her first husband, and they were married for about 4 years. And so she says, at that age, she really wasn't ready to be a wife. Diana talks about her ex husband and how during their divorce, everything was split in half. So I'm thinking there was no prenuptial agreement. Everything was split in half. And she said that they're still good friends. It was an amicable divorce. And she said that she did not marry for money and she did not get a divorce for money. So Sutton and Erica, they're conversating. They're having a very decent conversation. And everybody takes notice of that. And Sutton asks Erica if she has any type of responsibility towards the victims of her husband's fraud. And Erica said no. And she said, does a doctor's wife feel a responsibility towards, the doctor's patients if something goes wrong with the patients? And I think that that's, up on the surface, it seems like a very good analogy. But I think when you really think about it, it's like apples and oranges. The of course doctors make really good money, and the wife benefits from, or the spouse benefits from, the income that the doctor has. But most of the time, if a doctor does something where a patient ends up dying or becoming injured, it's most of the time medical negligence. It's not someone who is purposely trying to harm the patient. And him harming the patient does not result in the doctor getting paid more money. And whether the patient thrives or the patient does not thrive, the patient ends up passing away, the income of the doctor remains the same unless there's a lawsuit and then he has to, pay money or something. But the income of the doctor remains the same. So, because he's still performing a medical procedure, and the outcome of the procedure really has no bearing on how much he's going to get paid for that procedure, as far as I know. And so when she was like, well, does a doctor's wife feel responsible when a patient dies? Like, Erica, what are you talking about? You can't compare the two. Your husband was defrauding people. He was intentionally defrauding people and taking their money and moving this money around, and he was giving you some of that money to keep for him to hide from the federal government or whoever, and you want to act like you had no idea what was going on. So you I if if we believe the federal government, if we believe the federal government or the people that are suing you, you were very much aware of what your husband was doing. Now, you were not telling him, you were not finding victims for him, you were not that involved, but you knew that he was probably doing something that was slightly under the law, and you were helping him hide assets and funds to save your money that was owed to victims, because you wanted to keep that money with him. So if that's what the people who are suing her are saying, and what the federal government is saying, that's not what I'm saying, because I don't know what happened, but you were somehow complicit, and you are helping him continue to defraud his victims. So when I say continuing, I mean like helping him hide money so that either the government wouldn't see or the plaintiffs wouldn't see where this money was. Like, there was no paper trail for this money. So it's completely different, Erica. You are a very smart cookie, but you kind of missed the mark with that analogy. So Erica says that she does enjoy these moments with Sutton. Yeah, she does enjoy these moments with Sutton, but she knows that these moments are very short lived. Moving on from that. So the next morning, the talk of the morning is Erica and Sutton. Everybody's buzzing about how Erica and Sutton were having a conversation and getting along. And Garcelle said that Erica was on her meds, and so she's good. That's why she was so chatty with Sutton. And then there's more talk about why Crystal is the way she is, why she has to hide things or hold things and not hide things, why she has to hold things in and not express herself, or all this stuff about Crystal. Okay, I don't really care. Let's move on. So then they take a yacht ride, and on the way to the yacht, well, the whole day Erica was lit, and Erica kept on repeating how she was drunk and how she was medicated. So I don't know what was going on, because Erica is someone that up until now has portrayed herself as being someone who knows how to keep herself together. She knows how to keep her cool, even when she's extremely angry. It's like a controlled storm, and so for her just to be very lazy about her alcohol intake and her medication intake, it was a little bit different. Everybody has the right to kind of, let go of reality for a little while, but it was a little bit different. It was very unlike Erica to see her this way. So everybody, is commenting about that. And then when they are on the yacht, Diana is having a conversation. I think it was with Sutton, and I think it was it Dorit? It was another woman. I don't know who it was. I think it was Dorit. Or was it Kyle? I can't remember. So the question was asked to Diana. Someone had said, I think it was Kyle. Someone had said, or Kyle, I don't know, had said, Diana, I'm very interested. Or was it Rena? I'm so sorry, y'all. Someone asked Diana, I'm really interested in your upbringing. Did you have any siblings? And Diana says that she did have a brother and an older brother, but he was killed in the war. And, Diana is someone who also kind of keeps things together as much as she can. So you can tell that she's really trying to control her emotions while she's talking about her brother. And she talked about how at first, I guess he was reported missing, and then they finally found his body. I think she said they found his body like in the gutter or in the street or something. And the injuries were pretty bad. And her father had to identify the body. So it's a very sad and traumatic story. And then Sutton pipes in, and then she starts talking about her father's suicide and that her father's suicide really affected her. So in Diana's confessional, she says all roads lead to Sutton, as if to say that no matter what the conversation is about, somehow or another, Sutton will make it about herself. Now, in this specific instance, I really can't say that Sutton was trying to bring the attention towards herself, because I feel like Sutton was trying to give a story to relate to Diana. That's how I initially saw it. I didn't see Sutton trying to dominate the conversation or trying to direct the conversation towards herself. I just saw it as her listening to Diana's story and contributing to the conversation by talking about what happened to her father, so that she can somehow let Diana know that they have this common bond of losing someone very unexpectedly, because Sutton made a comment that when someone dies suddenly like this and unexpected, you don't have the opportunity to say goodbye or to say that you love them. And I think that she was trying to relate to Diana, not necessarily, become self-absorbed. So when Diana made that comment in her confessional that all roads lead to Sutton, you can tell that after this scene, moving forward, there was probably a lot of bad blood between Sutton and Diana, because that comment that Sutton made about her father, as she was contributing to the conversation, I don't think that Diana would have made that comment if her and Sutton had a long-lasting positive relationship after that. So moving on from there. So they're getting ready for dinner, And I realized that in this episode, Sutton was giving a lot of attention to her eyes. Her glam squad, in the beginning of the episode, her makeup person was using some type of a roller device underneath her eyelids, I guess, to kind of get rid of the bags underneath her eyes. And then when she was getting ready for dinner, she had the patches under her eyes, like maybe to get rid of bags or puffiness or dark circles. So she does a lot of work around her eyes. So her and Garcelle, as we're getting ready for dinner, they start FaceTiming each other and they are talking about Erica and how lit Erica was. And yeah, so that's also like something that these women are talking about is Erica. And like I said, it wasn't alarming, it wasn't strange or anything, but it was just a little bit unlike Erica, the way that I'm used to seeing her. So at dinner, sometimes I wonder when I see, because there hasn't been a lot of attention to Dorit. Other than her house being invaded and her struggling with her anxiety, there's not a lot of Dorit storyline so far in this season. And I'm wondering if this just kind of confirms my own belief, my own personal belief that her home invasion was fake. Because other than the home invasion, what the hell else would be going on with Dorit? Other than the home invasion and her hosting this trip, what else would be going on with her? We hear nothing about Dorit. And Dorit hasn't learned how to finesse the game of being on a reality TV show like the way Kyle has. So Dorit needs to understand, if you don't have much of a storyline, you need to be heavily involved in other people's storylines. You need to kind of move their stories along, help move their stories along. And that's what Kyle does. Because Kyle, I feel like in every season, we don't know a lot about Kyle and what's going on with her family, her marriage, not unless it's something positive. If it's something positive, she's going to talk about it on the show. But if it's not anything positive, Kyle's personal life is never really much of a storyline, except for when it came to her sister. The issues with her sister was a huge part of the show way back when her sister was on the show. But once her sister left, it's like Kyle's personal life became non-existent. She only gives us little little bits and pieces of her personal life, but her personal life is not much of a storyline. And she understands that. She knows that. She knows that she doesn't want to give too much of her personal life. And so what she does is that she aids and abets other people's storyline. She helps move their storylines. Like, she asks the questions that are going to be causing drama. She says the things that's going to elicit a response from people. So that's how you play the game. So Dorit needs to take notes. If you don't have much of a storyline, you need to help other people's storyline move along by asking very direct, uncomfortable questions, so that you can get a rise out of the other characters. So at dinner, Garcelle invites everybody to her birthday party. Rinna says that she's not going to be able to make it. And then Garcelle mentions that she invited Denise Richards to her birthday party. And all of a sudden, Rinna, I felt like her demeanor changed slightly. She tried to act like she was keeping it together, like she was like very nonchalant about it, but she wasn't. I could tell that her demeanor changed slightly. So obviously we know about Rinna and Denise Richards. They do have that history from the previous season. I'm not going to go into it because I'm not that interested, but they do have that history where there's friction between Rinna and Denise. Rinna basically calling Denise out as a liar when it came to the whole Brandy situation between Brandy and Denise. So Rinna says that and then when Garcelle mentioned that she invited Rinna, she had like this Cheshire smile on her face, kind of like she knew this was going to bother Rinna or that she was going to get a reaction out of Rinna. But Garcelle does it all under the guise of, oh, I really want the two of you to make up and get along. I invited Denise Richards as well to the party. She kind of does it under that whole blanket of, I just want y'all to be friends again. But that she just wants the drama between Rinna and Denise. So Rinna was slightly one step ahead of Garcelle and said, you know what, actually, I reached out to Denise Richards. I sent her a text. I apologized. She responded. She appreciated it. And so now we're good. And in her confessional, it shows Garcelle texting Denise Richards, asking her, did she have a conversation with Rinna, or did Rinna apologize to her? And Denise, evidently, according to Garcelle, responded by saying when, as if, what are you talking about? When did this happen? So Garcelle is of the mindset that Rinna is lying about reaching out to Denise Richards. So Garcelle then brings up Diana's book. And she tells Diana, see, Garcelle is another one that knows how to play the game. And that's why she's on here for like a second or third season. She understands how the game is played. Not much is going on with her own personal life. So she knows that to secure a spot and to be interesting and to have the camera on her, you have to help other people's storylines move along. So Garcelle asks Diana about her book. And Garcelle says, when the book was mentioned previously, you automatically shut the conversation down and you appeared, it was really rude of you to do that. We were trying to ask you questions about the book. We were interested about the book, but then you completely shut us down and you were like, we've already talked about it. Let's move on. So in her confessional, Diana says that actually Garcelle is the one that's rude. And she's also very unwelcoming. She says that Garcelle is very unwelcoming. And she says that she has tried to break down the barrier between her and Garcelle, and it's just not working. So I don't have much to say about that because I haven't seen a lot of interaction between Diana and Garcelle, but we'll see how that plays out. And I wonder if Garcelle brought out that conversation about the book, because I think all the women at that table know the history of that book and the controversy around that book. And so I think Garcelle brought it up, to cause drama, to make her uncomfortable, because Garcelle can see that Diana and Sutton are not on the same page. And we know how Garcelle is about Sutton. She is a ride or die for Sutton. And so she's trying to kind of ruffle Diana's feathers because Diana ruffled Sutton's feathers. So Sutton and Erica, once again, they're very chatty. They're getting along. They're talking. And the women at the table are making notice of it. And it's a little bit sickening to me how they're like, oh, my God, look at Erica and Sutton. Oh, my God, they're talking. It's just very sickening when they have that reaction. Everybody's grown. So these two women had a tiff. Now they're talking. What is the big deal? Oh, they're talking again. Okay, wonderful. That's what we want. That's a beautiful thing. Let's stop with all of this. Oh my God, look at them. Oh my God, let's stop with all of that. So the women notice it. They make a big deal about it. Erica doesn't want any attention on this. Erica's like, just leave me alone. Just let me be. She doesn't want the attention on her when she was, heavily medicated and drunk. She doesn't want the attention on her when she's having a conversation with Sutton. And she understands that these moments with Sutton are come and go. They're touch and go. And Sutton even says in her confessional, I have to walk a very careful line with Erica because, 1 minute we're good, the next minute we're not. So I just take it for, with a grain of salt. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. They make a toast to Lois, and then Dorit begins her dissertation about nothing at all. So Dorit starts talking, and she's got diarrhea of the mouth. Once she starts, you can't make her stop. And she just talks and talks and talks. Of course, the way they edited it, it made it look like she talked for a full hour, but it might have been just maybe a couple of minutes. So then after that, everybody else goes to bed except for Diana, Kyle, and Dorit. They decide to have a nightcap. I think that's what it's called. I don't drink, so I don't know, but I think it's called a nightcap, maybe a drink after dinner. So, and then Kyle makes a big deal about how everybody wants to go to bed and they don't ever want to have fun when they're on vacation. And she's all about fun and having a good time. Whatever, Kyle. So Dorit, Kyle, and Diana, they have drinks together, and then they start talking about Sutton. And Kyle asked Diana, what made you so emotional when you and Sutton had that confrontation? And Diana said, well, I was just trying to help. I was just trying to help her. And then she just came out of nowhere and was really aggressive with me. And then she started talking about Sutton's contradictions, how she says she's a vegetarian, but she eats bacon, how she told Diana she doesn't like confrontation. She doesn't like all that screaming and yelling. But then that's exactly how she responded to Diana when Diana called her out on either not remembering what she said or lying about what she said. When Diana said that she was just trying to help, I was like, what? Because it didn't look like you were trying to help Sutton when they had their confrontation. Sutton was telling Crystal, I never said that I hated you, which she did in a way. She did say it. She says, I like you as much as I hate you. And so Sutton denied ever saying it that way. Sutton claims that she said, I hate what you do to me, or I hate how you act, or something like that. That's not what you said, Sutton. You said, I like you as much as I hate you. And Diana was calling her out on her lie and said, no, that is not what you said. You actually said blah, blah, blah. So I didn't see that as Diana helping Sutton. That was Diana calling Sutton out, because I think by that time, Diana had already had enough of Sutton because, of her contradictions and whatnot. So Diana said that she could have headbutted her. And Diana also says that, Sutton has one chance. She had only one chance to mess it up with her. And once she messed it up, that's it. Diana is not going to give her a second chance to mess it up with her. So it looks like, as far as I can tell, Diana is over Sutton. She's not trying to play nice with Sutton. And so all the gloves are off now between her and Sutton. The next day, they're departing. They're leaving Mexico to go back to California. So on the plane, Sutton asked if she could sit with Diana, and Diana told her no. And then, directs her to the seat that she was sitting on when they arrived to Mexico. So Sutton listens, because Sutton is so easy. Sutton is very easy to direct, and she's very easy to make her apologize. And it's really easy to make her say the things that you want her to say. She's a real pushover. She thinks that she's not. She thinks that she's got a backbone, but I've yet to see it. Sometimes she does get loud, but it doesn't mean that she has a backbone. So when Diana told her, no, you cannot sit with us. You can go and sit in the seat that you originally sat in when we arrived. So Sutton, did what she was told. And so Sutton then tells Garcelle what Diana told her. And, Garcelle doesn't like people messing with her Sutton. So it's going to be no holds barred between Garcelle and Diana, because Garcelle is not going to put up with that. I don't know what it is about about Sutton and Garcelle. Like, what actually is creating this really thick bond between the two of them. Like, it's very mysterious to me how Garcelle has gravitated to Sutton the way she has, because you would think that with the allegations that were circling around Sutton from your girl Crystal, that Garcelle would have sort of kept her distance from Sutton, not really understanding like where she was coming from. But since day one, Sutton has been Garcelle's, BFF. And Garcelle is like Sutton's bodyguard, her confidant, her best friend. And it's just, to me, that relationship between Sutton and Garcelle is mysterious to me. It's very mysterious. So now that Sutton has told Garcelle what Diana told her about, you're not going to sit with us, I'm pretty sure Garcelle is going to be coming for Sutton. And then there was also, okay, that's in the next episode. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Yeah, so that's where my review ends. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later.